Have enjoyed the last weekend. Yesterday was a special day for me as an immigrant because I quietly observed my distant native lands, Finland's Independence Day. Even though I live about 9,000 kilometers away from Finland, which is located in Northern Europe, I mark its Independence Day every year, albeit quietly. So this morning, energetic, inspired, and determined to take the final sprint in your studies this week and next week before our wonderful online Christmas party on December the 18th. So at this point, I would like you, as a little exercise, to mention some human rights in our chat box. Given the size of the call, it's much more practical to do it this way than having you take turns unmuting your microphones, because by no means all of you have so excellent or fast internet connections. Thank you very much. The 17th century, the American Declaration of Independence, the US Constitution and its first 10 amendments, or the Bill of Rights, in the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. All of those documents were prepared and published in the 18th century, or in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was published in the 20th century. We do have a point in such views, although the basic principles of human rights have slowly. The laws of King Cyrus of Persia and the law of Moses already included various precious human rights, although they were also filled with numerous duties and responsibilities. One of the liberating key facts about the human rights is that they are meant to apply to all people, regardless of their family origin, social class, ethnicity, race, religion, native language, culture, physical appearance, gender, and other qualities. Here are various human rights which are outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights: life, liberty, and personal security, including the freedom from slavery, freedom from torture and cruel punishments, equality before the law and the right to be recognized as a person under the law, the right to appeal to the courts in case his or her rights are violated, the right to a lawyer and to a fair trial in case he or she is arrested, the freedoms of thought, expression, opinion, and conscience, the freedom of religion, the freedom of movement, the right to personal privacy, the right to education, the right to work, and finally the right to social security, such as health insurance, unemployment insurance, and old age pension. Of course, all of us as intelligent and thoughtful people realize that these rights are conditional on, for example, our obedience to the laws, and on our respect for the other people's rights and freedoms. If we on purpose or out of ignorance violate the laws, or fail to respect the other people's rights and freedoms, we can expect legal problems. If, however, we both obey the laws and respect authorities, such as the police officers and judges' interference with our lives. Unfortunately, tens of countries around the world still violate at least several of the above human rights. Therefore, many unselfish and caring individuals work tirelessly to protect, enforce, and strengthen the basic human rights and freedoms. Next in this morning message, I will briefly mention a group of such human rights advocates. Alessandra Munduruku, a leader of a Brazilian indigenous tribe, received the Robert F. Kennedy 2020 Human Rights Award for her work defending the culture, livelihoods, and rights of indigenous peoples in Brazil. She has seen her home broken into and been threatened over her work defending her people and their Amazon land from illegal miners and loggers, hydropower plants, and other threats. Also, right and access to clean water when she was only 8 years old. By now, she has spoken about this precious right, for example, to the United Nations General Assembly in New York City and in the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Mr. Brahim Ramadan keeps fighting against slavery in his homeland Mauritania, which is a strictly authoritarian country in Western Africa. He established the Sahel Institution for Human Rights, which opposes slavery through education. Even during the COVID lockdown, its members have distributed food and water and have taught an online course for the poor parents' children. Kathy Freeman, who won the 400-meter dash at the 2000 Sydney Summer Olympics in Australia, is proud of her Aboriginal heritage. After retiring from competitive running, she established the Kathy Freeman Foundation in 2007. It works with remote Indigenous communities to close the gap in education between Australia's native and non-native children. Cressida Kuala is a women's human rights defender in the Ipili Indigenous people and an environmental activist in Papua New Guinea. Determined to protect other members of her community, she founded the Porgera Red Wara or River Women's Association to highlight problems facing women in mining communities. Debbie is a human rights activist currently living in Thailand. She is coordinating the efforts to strengthen democracy and human rights in Myanmar or Burma. Born in Malaysia, she has also lived in Australia. Memory Banda is a young woman in Malawi, southern Africa, who is determinedly fighting against the old custom of child marriage. Memory, now 23, has been fighting against child marriage and other harmful practices in Malawi since she was a teenager. She's the founder and CEO of Foundation for Girls Leadership. Internationally, she has delivered speeches on the topic at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women and at the Oslo Freedom Forum. Mr. Mahdi Jobarte is the current and first country representative for Westminster Foundation for Democracy or WFD in the Gambia, Western Africa, since 2018. He has also worked with women, young people, persons with disabilities, and people living with HIV/AIDS for social and economic justice and equality. In addition, he has conducted human rights training for security officers, policy and lawmakers, and traditional authorities to promote good governance in Africa. Ms. Galina Edin is a Russian journalist, broadcaster, and social activist, and a member of the Mansi indigenous peoples from the Khanty-Mansi Yugra region in Siberia, so eastern Russia. She's one of the co-founders and an active member of the community organization which helps Russian indigenous youth adapt to urban life when they come to cities seeking education. As a journalist, Galina has filmed numerous documentaries about indigenous peoples in the north of Russia. Her latest film focuses on how climate change is affecting indigenous lives, traditions, culture, and livelihoods. Hope Lang, 16, is a British and Scottish teenager who is fighting against child poverty and inequality. She began speaking out for the rights of children and young people at the age of 12, when she saw the needs of her local community youth group. Living on the remote Orkney Islands in Scotland, they were frequently disconnected from national opportunities and discussions. Since then, Hope has been elected to Scotland's Youth Parliament, and she has spoken by video to the United Nations Human Rights Council Social Forum. As we can see from the above list of human rights activists, anyone who truly cares about the human rights can get involved in the efforts to protect and extend them. We do not have to be highly educated, rich, famous, or even adults to become active in promoting human rights. In closing, I would like you to reflect seriously on the following questions. 1. Am I aware of my rights as a human being? 2. Am I exercising those rights as I should? 3. Am I respectful towards my fellow human beings' rights? 4. What can I do to protect and promote the human rights? Thank you so much for your attention to and participation in this morning message. On behalf of my fellow faculty members, I wish all of you a very encouraging, productive, blessed, and successful new school week.